This is Mayor Buddy Dyer. We've all been affected by the coronavirus. We're staying at home and keeping people safe, but a lot of people rely on performing in front of live audiences to earn their income. So tonight, we're doing this benefit for them. I want to thank all the talent that's involved here tonight, and I urge those of you who have tuned in to contribute.
Labor Day 2020 is here. Literally here on your screen.
The theater world has been hit especially hard by COVID-19. So we here at Beth Marshall Presents are happy to still be able to give you this year's Play in a Day in a whole new way.
We at the Greater Orlando Social Distance Showcase
are pleased as punch to partner with Beth Marshall Presents for the very first
virtual Play in a Day.
So look out.
We have 14 pieces
that are fabulous and they don't suck.
14 writers,
11 directors,
9 stage managers,
and 26 performers.
We have pieces that range from monologues to dance and so much more in between.
Made entirely in 24 hours.
We've got Play in a Day veterans, y'all.
And up-and-coming artists.
And some outstanding out-of-towners.
Hi, we're Julie and Mike from Boston, and we are so excited to be a part of this virtual show.
Allowing artists from all over to be involved.
So be sure to tune in to the BMP Facebook page at 5:30 on June 21st.
And you can make your ticketing donation at bethmarshallpresents.com.
Oh, and have some money ready because you don't want to miss the live auction.
So enjoy the show!
Hello! Oh, for God's sake, we're back! We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and not without any great effort. This is
not that. Yes, actually, yes, absolutely.
This has been a week, let me tell you, because for some insane reason, Kenny and I both agreed to do Beth Marshall Presents Play in a Day while we're putting together this showcase and trying to raise funds to help out our fellow people whose incomes have been interrupted due to COVID-19. If you may not know, it's a virus that's going around. But anyway, let's bring Beth Marshall in. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been such a day. I didn't have time to write my usual 5-minute introduction. So
you're going to get out 15 minutes early. Thank you. You're welcome.
Very is already vocal, which is a testament to how much he's been drinking. But I just want to bring Beth into the call so that she's not hanging out in nowhere land. Say hello, Beth.
Hello, Beth.
All right.
Well, that's the reason that I've been drinking. It's
exactly.
Good that she's here.
Yes, it's because today was the day everything had to be done by 4:30 for Play in a Day. We'll get to that in a minute. Beth, I need you to hold on because honestly, and I'm sorry, Kenny, but if I don't do this, I can't get through this call. I have to vent. Kenny, first of all, the picture quality, Kenny.
Oh, yes, the picture quality, unfortunately,
it's even worse than usual.
We used this, and then we used the iPad. The iPad's better. We had a charging issue. The charging thing we no longer have. We went to buy a new one. Well, we, by meaning Michael.
I'm the person who gets sent to Best Buy, who knows nothing about nothing.
And he came back with nothing, and so it wasn't able to work.
No, I came back with a $54 something. It just wasn't the right something. So now we're on something other than we're supposed to be on, and the quality's worse than ever. But I got to tell you this.
But it's going to make the rest of y'all look real good.
So I'm just going to tell you this quick tale of two different approaches by two different companies to what we're going through right now.
This makes up for the intros.
I go to Best Buy. They are doing everything right. They have two people at the front at a kiosk making people social distance. They're actually ask you, can you help yourself self-serve, or do you need assistance? And if you need assistance, they took your name, they made you stand on a spot 6 feet apart, and then a sales associate would come to the front and call your name, and they'd go take you for assistance, all wearing masks. So, but I go up to the kiosk, and I'm scanning the store, and it's full of people. And most of them don't have masks on. And as you know, today, for those of you listening from other places, Orange County, as of today, had an executive order from Mayor Deming that you must have a mask on in a public place. So I said to the man, what's the point of this check-in point if you're letting people in without masks? And he says, sir, I'm not letting them in. We're here to tell them they can't come in without the masks, and they're just charging past us and telling us basically too bad. And then he said, the other guy says to me, we actually called the police earlier in the day, and they told us that they are powerless to enforce this. And so as I wait on my designated spot because I needed help, I watch person after person come up without masks on, these guys being so nice and explaining to them that it's now the law that you have to have a mask on, and unfortunately you can't come in without a mask. And person after person after person just being belligerent, screaming at them, cursing them out, calling them dumbasses, everything, and just going into the store without a mask on. So that was experience number one. Then I stop at Publix on the way home. I need one item. I go in, and and I want you to know this, because I normally shop at College Park Publix. Everyone always has a mask on. Everyone is always going in the right lanes on the one-way signs.
Thornton Park, too.
Then you go to the one at, what is it, Colonial and Shine, right? You know, the
old gay Publix.
The old gay Publix.
The old one.
And obviously they have a different culture there. I walk in and I'm furious at the number of people without masks on. So I deal with it. And as I'm leaving, without attitude, without anything, a woman standing in front of customer service, and I say, may I ask you why you're allowing people in the store without masks on when it's a law as of today? And her answer to me was, she giggled, and then she said, it is above my pay grade to be a bouncer. That was her answer to me. And I said, is that really your response? And she said, do you want to see a manager? And I said, yes, I would. She goes over, she gets a man who's standing there in a tie. He comes over, he says, can I help you? I said, yes, I'd like to know why you're letting people in the store without masks on. And he said, it's not our policy to enforce mask wearing. And I said, well, but don't you think it should be, since it's, as of today, mandated by the county? He said, do you want to talk to my manager? I said, I thought you were the manager. He goes, oh, I'm the assistant manager. I said, yes. So the manager comes out of the office, and again, I am not riled up yet. And he says, can I help you, sir? And I said, yes. Said, you're the third person I'm talking to. I would just like to know why it is you are letting people in the store without masks on. And he says, out of the gate, it is not my job to enforce the law. My job is to sell groceries. And I said, that is really what you have to say to me?
Children, cover your ears.
And he says, yes. And I said, you make your employees wear masks, don't you? He said, yes. I said, so you insist that your employees wear masks to keep the customers safe, but you're not going to make the customers wear masks to keep your employees safe. And he actually said this to me. He said, sir, having our employees wear masks is not a health issue. It is a uniform code. And I said, you're actually going to stand there and tell me that you're making these people wear masks doesn't have to do with the health issue, it's a uniform code. He said, yes, that's right. And I said, well, that is fucked up. And he said, what? And I said, that is telling me that your attitude toward me, a 60-something-year-old person at risk with pre-existing conditions, that you're basically saying, fuck you to me, that you don't care to enforce this rule. And he said, well, again, I'm here to sell groceries, not enforce the law. And I said, well, then fuck you. And he said, what did you say? I said, fuck you. Now every cashier has stopped and no one's working. Everyone's looking at me. And he said, if you say that word again, I'll call the police and have you removed. And I said, so let me get this straight. You're willing to call the police because the word I said is offensive to you, but you're not going to call the police about someone potentially infecting someone with a deadly virus. And he said, well, that's right. And I said, well, then fuck you. And I turned around and walked away, and he yelled after me, you're going to say that to me and then run away? Turn around and I come back to him, and I get right up in his face, and I said, what are you going to do? Hit me? And he said, no, but I'll call the police. And I said, so again, fuck you. And out I walked. So anyway, that brought us right up to the time of the broadcast.
Wait, did Kenny have to bail you out, or what's the deal?
No, but can I tell you Nostradamus' story?
Wait, listen. We have a show to do, guys.
I know. Let's tell you Nostradamus.
2 days ago, I told Larry Watchhorn, my boss, when we were at the Abbey, that once this came down that we had to wear masks, I'm like, I can't go out with Michael anymore. And he's like, why not? And I'm like, well, now the city's on his side, but they'll get kicked out and Michael will get arrested. Swear to God, Larry will tell you that, and he went to seminary school.
Anyway, so we're over that. I just had to vent. Thank you for listening. I cannot understand how a health issue has become some sort of political issue, or that the people who are the biggest ones to wrap themselves in the flag somehow think you're weak for caring. Anyway,
so ladies and gentlemen, Beth Marshall.
Hi. Well, I agree with you, Wanzie. I haven't been out more than 6 times since March 17th. All necessary reasonings and all masked in the time out. So I am of the mindset of, keep the mask on. Let's shut the place down for a while and really get the curb on this whole thing before we get going again. And, that's where I'm at. But I'm also at the part of Playing a Day where everyone has gotten their stuff in now. I haven't seen it all because I'm here.
One second. I know that we actually have a lot of people from Iowa watching tonight who aren't familiar with what Playing a Day is. So let's assume that the audience doesn't know, and explain what it is first.
Okay, so Playing a Day is like it sounds. It's a play put on in a 24-hour time period. Although it's a little altered this time because we're doing everything Zoom style. What happens is a group of artists get put together, writer, director, stage manager, actors, and a production team all come together to create short plays in the course of 24 hours. They're fully produced and are on a theme that's given in the beginning and some twist. And then the writers go off and have 12 hours to write. And then the director decides at her discretion how the rehearsal process goes. And then today, because it's COVID, normally we rehearse right up to the doors opening in a live theatrical event. But today, since it's COVID and we have uploads and technology and things of that nature to deal with, everyone's works were to be into Blue Estrella, our production stage manager, by 4:30, which got extended to 5:30 today, and then they will be sent to Rich Sharon later tonight after I look at them and give him a running order. And then tomorrow, right here at 5:30 on Facebook Live, at the BMP Facebook Live, we will have Playing a Day.
And all 14 of these original plays will be screened tomorrow night on this platform.
Yes.
With you and Rob Ward hosting, correct?
Yes, along with you two, and Jaslyn Whitten, who is one of our co-producers for Top Teens. She is she's going to be going to Daytona State College. She just graduated from Lake Howell High School. She will be coming in as our live auction manager. So all of our auction items that we will be having, that we'll be doing live auction right here for Playing a Day, she will be managing as
People
that
can
goes.
make bids in the chat.
Yeah, people can make bids in the chat for Playing a Day. And Clark Levi, who is the associate producer of the event, he will be managing those bids and let everybody know how who won and how they're going to get their items.
Right. And is there every year there's a theme and a twist, and so none of the writers know, and we didn't know until yesterday at noon what the theme was, what the twist is, and Beth also gives them a setting. This year you gave a different setting to every single writer, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And all that will be revealed tomorrow at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, it will. I can give them a little bit of a hint right now, though, that the setting, the geography of the setting, obviously is in tandem with what's going on. So it's a COVID-style setting. So it all takes place in a home.
ICU unit. No.
Oh, Wanzie, no.
For that, so we had to postpone that one.
So it takes place in a home, and everyone will be in different rooms of their home.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you've been to Playing a Day before, you know how much fun it is, and it'll certainly be interesting to do it virtually this time. And if you've never been to Playing a Day before, this is your opportunity. Now, Rich has generously agreed to handle the technical aspects of this. We're hosting it on our platform, but it is a fundraiser for Beth Marshall Presents scholarships for her Top Teen program. So we're hoping that you'll go. You'll be able to watch. We hope you will go to Beth Marshall Presents webpage and make a minimum donation of $10 and to basically buy a ticket to watch tomorrow night. Is that correct?
That is correct. We took all the prices for donations down to $10, which is normally the student rate. It usually is a $20 ticket per person, and the student rate and senior rate is $10. And we just put that across the board as a donation. And all the money that is raised for that will go to a Top Teen Scholarship Fund that will allow any one of the teens that win it the opportunity to pursue his or her training in any way they deem fit. So they can use that for classes, for college, for headshots, for gas to auditions, for equipment, for tools if they're a technician of sorts. So it's just to make sure that whatever path these young artists choose to do in the field of the arts, that they have some seed money to make that happen. And that's the Playing a Day scholarship part of it is new. This is only the second year for that. Florida Theatrical Association has generously been a sponsor for the last 4 years of Playing a Day, and they're one of our sponsors. And fortunately, we were lucky enough to get $2,000 from them again this year, and that money goes also to the scholarships for the teens. It helps them to get into a 2.5-week intensive training program with this year professionals across the nation. The one thing that Zoom has afforded us, the COVID situation and Zoom have afforded us this year, are that I've been able to bring guest artists in that I wouldn't have been able to afford to do otherwise. So the teens have had an opportunity to work with a variety of individual artists along the first week. We're going into our second week next week. And yeah, and then the auction for Plan a Day, the items have all been collected by the teens. They have been the ones to put together all the packages, and we have everything ranging from like stage manager kits and popcorn packages with movies and wine glasses, and we have playbills and monologue books and makeup kits and just a variety of different things. Our big package is a getaway at Hard Rock with a lot of extras involved in it. All the biddings, with the exception of that, start at $7.77 and go up from there. And the Hard Rock package is a $450 value, starting at $100.
So very quickly, before we run out of time, tomorrow, to be clear, at 5:30 is Play Day. But next Saturday, in this time slot, we are giving over our entire showcase to your top teens. Tell us what that will entail.
Okay, so we have 14 top teens this year. They have adjudication that goes on next week, and Wanzie and Kenny are adjudicators and mentors for many of the teens, and they will get to choose 3 that come on this show next week and get interviewed and get to perform their materials.
And so many of them never had a cocktail before I started mentoring them. It's amazing.
Oh no, and they still aren't. They still aren't, because the word teen is in there for all of them. So they range in age from 13 to 19, and none of them are 21 yet.
They haven't changed that long yet.
So you all will choose those 3. One will get the Plan a Day scholarship, which Maddie McDermott will choose. He's one of the adjudicators for Plan a Day tomorrow. And then the scholarship awards that happen during the showcase, which isn't a public showcase, will be determined numerically by the numbers that they are scored through the adjudicators that are on the panel. Then there are other awards that do not offer scholarships, which come from a mix of adjudication and my curation throughout the year.
Okay. Give the web address for people to make the $10 donation to watch tomorrow.
Sure. Go to BethMarshallPresents.com, go to ticketing, and it will direct you to our PayPal, and you can do that and pay the donation there, or you can do it right off of the Facebook invite. If you click on that, it will take you right there. BethMarshallPresents.com, ticketing.
All right.
Just real quick, to address top teens, for people who don't know it, I've been involved now 5 years, and it is top teens. And the success rate of professionally and in college, what they do, there's a Jimmy Award winner for choreographer, for dancer. I mean, it is an amazing, amazing group of people who really, when we choose the 3, or whoever chooses the 3 for next week, really tune in, because it's incredible, the talent that she.
We always come away from this feeling like
old.
No, like, oh my God, the future of this craft is in good hands, and it's amazing how many people who make it come out of this area, come out of this region, come out of coaching from Beth. So thanks for being with us. We love you. Bye-bye.
Love you all.
Bye.
Oh, Lordy. So that was Beth. Kenny, did you want to give any kind of a quick teaser for your piece that you're involved with that people can see tomorrow?
No, because everything it gives it away.
Who's involved? Who are your people?
Riley, Noel.
Okay.
Yeah, Jackson.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it was fast and furious, and yeah, but it's an amazing skip by Ken Bruce and
Yeah, Ken is wonderful writer.
Yeah. But there's surprises, and those surprises carry through the other. And I wish I could tell you, but I can't. But
Kenny directed a piece. I wrote a piece, and the piece I wrote, I was given 2 actors. Jack, why can't I ever say her last name right? Ledoux. Jack.
I don't think
JC. You know, she's fabulous. She's in everything. She was in Vanya, Sonia, Masha, and Spike, and whatever that thing was. Anyway, she's brilliant. And this new kid named something. Moorhead. Thank you. Agnes's grandson.
That's
and,
why I know it.
He's fucking brilliant. Anyway, I just saw it for the first time. It was just sent to me, and I'm delighted. Anyway, let's move on. In the meantime, please make a donation. If you would have been out tonight buying a drink or going to a club, $5, $7, $10, doesn't matter. We need money. Here's the deal. We're out of money, quite frankly. We had 187 people approved for assistance. We are happy to report that as of last night, we paid the very last person on that list. So we have given 187 Central Florida people in the performing arts a $100 gift, over $18,700 that we have dispersed thanks to your generosity. We did it the wrong way around last time. We did the applications and then started raising money. So people had to wait weeks to get paid. So we're going to do a little different this time. We're going to try and raise some money first. And then when we have some in the bank, we'll reopen the applications because the need is still out there. We do give $100 gifts, no questions asked. So if you want to sponsor one actor, stage manager, technician, lighting designer, character, make a $100 gift if you can. If not, we'll take $5 and be happy for it.
So do we have a new URL or anything?
Yes. If you look at your screen, there is a new URL. Thank you, Rich. We want to thank Watermark and Rick Claggett. They've been taking care of this for a long time, but it didn't give you the opportunity to make it a tax-deductible donation. Thanks to our pal Cole Naismith over at City Arts Project. We are now using their platform to collect the donations, which makes it a tax-deductible donation for you, but it is a different URL, so look for that at the bottom of the screen. Thank you, Cole. And I'll tell you about this band after we hear from them first, but let's have a little musical entertainment from a band known as Acoustic Joe, and many of you will know the lead male vocalist, which is our friend, singing realtor David Dorman, who also provides all of the opening and closing credit videos for the show. So let's, the first song I think is called Gone, Gone, Gone.
No, I'm glad it's not This Is the Moment. Thank you.
So let's have a little musical entertainment, and then I'll tell you about the band when we come back. Rich?
All right. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Once again, we're Acoustic Joe. We're going to keep the show moving along with a little tune by Phillips, and Gone, Gone, Gone. That's a lot of alliteration. Something along those lines. When life leaves you high and dry, I'll be at your door tonight. If you need help, I'll shut down the city life. I'll lie, cheat, I'll beg and bribe to make you well, When enemies are at your door, I'll carry you away from war. If you need help, your hope dangling by a string, I'll share in your suffering to make you would do it for you, for you. Baby, I'm not moving on. I love you long after you're gone. For you, you will never sleep alone. I love you long after you're gone, and long after you're gone, gone, gone. When you fall like a snake, I'm gonna be there to catch you, put you on your feet, you on your feet. And if your well is empty, not a thing will prevent me. Tell me what you need, what do you need? I surrender honestly. You've always done the same for me, and I would do it for you. Sleep alone. I love you long after you're gone, and long after you're gone, gone, gone. You're my backbone, you're my cornerstone, you're the crutch, the lace I'm moving. You're my head start, you're my rugged heart, you're the push that I've always needed. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby. Like a drum, my heart never stops beating for you, for you. Baby, I'm not moving on. I love you long after you're gone. For you, you will never sleep alone. I love you long after you're gone. For you, baby, I'm not moving on. I love you long after you're gone. Never sleep alone. I love you long after you're gone, and long after you're gone, gone, gone. Woo!
That was fun.
And so that is Acoustic Joe. So when David Dorman isn't busy being a top Century 21 broker and seller of multi-million-dollar homes, he sings with this band, mostly doing convention work.
And raises herds of basset hounds.
And yes, that's 5 dogs. With Scott
20 koi
Pena,
fish.
yes.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah. Here's the thing. They had a larger band called Volcano Joe with a tropical theme, and it was a bigger. But then there was a calling, a need for a more budget conscious thing. So they now went to this thing called Acoustic Joe, and he has traveled. They really are this like incredibly in demand in the industrial entertainment business convention shows. He has gone to Hawaii, he's gone to Europe, he's gone to Mexico, he's gone to the Bahamas. They go all over doing these conventions, and he couldn't be with us, but he wanted us to know. He says that since 2010, Acoustic Joe's been entertaining around the country and has been recognized as one of the top convention cover bands in the nation. Acoustic Joe was formed out of a need for a scaled-down version of the more popular Volcano Joe with an acoustic, laid-back format. And the original members featured that you just saw are Bob Zamato, David Dorman, Stephen Bell, Joey Julia, Julio Perez, and guest guitarist Jordan Itzkowitz. And Jordan and I go way back, but that's another story his wife doesn't really want me to tell. Hi, Red. Anyway, we have one more number from Acoustic Joe, and then we'll get on to our headliner, Frank McLean. And to Frank's friends listening from Iowa who may not have been prepared for so many thoughts, I'm sorry. And if your mother's watching, Frank, Helen, you know I still love and adore you. Hang in there, darling. Your son's going to be on shortly. He had to get out of the house and go to a remote situation. But anyway.
I'll join you, Frank.
Yes. So Long Train is the name of the next number by Acoustic Joe. And then we'll be back with Frank McLean. Enjoy.
Acoustic Joe, who's going to sing some great songs. Go on right now. Come on, people, come in.
Where would you be now? Theo. You good? You good? Good? Sounding good? What would you do now? Now the keep on turning now. What would you do now? Give it up for Joe singing a little Three Brothers. Good, Joey. Awesome, woo, man.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Acoustic Joe with David Dorman lead singing and Jordan, the guest guitarist. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our headliner guest, the man you...
Wait, hold on. What just happened during that video, Michael? Did you put an IV of...
Say what?
What just happened during that video? Did you just do 6 shots all at once?
They just it's been a day, Rich.
It was only like a few minutes. But okay, no. I mean, you're good. We still got a guest.
Wrong?
There goes us running long. I'm sure that's done.
Anyway, I didn't write an introduction. I ran out of time. Somebody named Frank McLean is next. Frank, are you there?
Yay, Frank.
I am. Can you see me?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for wearing your mask.
Well, I watched the opening of the show, and I thought, my God, even though I am a good 300 yards away from the closest person, I should be wearing a mask. So it makes it difficult to drink my beer, however.
You're not.
I just want to give a shout out though to my mask that was made by Orlando, the Grand Opera House's amazing box office manager, marketing director, and costumer extraordinaire, Michelle Blanchard. She goes by Queen Mab Costumes, and ever since this pandemic started, she has been making masks, and it's one of the only ones I found that don't make my glasses fog up. They're fantastic. So you can actually order them from anywhere in the world. But please check her out and buy her masks.
Can you buy them?
Michelle Blanchard, Queen Mab Costumes. .com or whatever, or Facebook or something, or just email me. I'll tell you.
No, it was going for that. Yeah, ask him on Facebook or something. Frank, tell people who you are.
Well, my name is Frank, and I was born in Dubuque, Iowa, where I currently am residing after 22 years in Orlando and then a bunch of other years away. So I'm back in my hometown, and I'm executive and artistic director at the Grand Opera House, which is a theater that was built in 1890 as an opera vaudeville house, became a movie house, and then became a live theater again. So I've come home to be in charge of a theater, be around family. I miss Orlando terribly. I certainly don't regret my move, but there are times where I would just love to be back with my Orlando family. You know, Orlando will always feel like my adult home.
Will you come back here eventually, do you think?
Yeah, I still have, people that know me know the house on Pine Street, and then became two houses on Pine Street that we called the compound. And
which is
still I think you mentioned in a post last week about the amazing fringe parties we have. So I own those, and they're rented out, and they're in the Milk District. When I bought the place in 1991, the only good financial decision I have ever done in my life, for a song. Not knowing that it would actually become a popular area. So I have wonderful tenants, thank you. And so I still own them. And so that's sort of like the retirement plan would be, it's like, okay, I can jump back into one of those houses someday.
Since you mentioned that house, we did put the word out that we would we allow people to ask questions. And there's a couple questions that we got pertaining to the house on Pine Street. The first one, I'm not going to tell you who sent it in until you give the answer, all right? But it says, ask Frank who his favorite tenants in his infamous house on Pine Street were.
Oh, good God. Well, that's a sticky question. So obviously, I'm not going to say my current tenants because I love them, but because they pay their rent on time. But I don't really know them as friends. Whereas when I was living in one of the houses, David Kelly, amazing roommate and tenant, Matt Henry, amazing roommate and tenant, and then David Lee, who was a tenant who paid his rent sometimes. I loved. It was just a magical time, and so of the three of those, I can't choose. But Seth and Genevieve were also amazing tenants. I've had such good luck with these places. Maybe because they're in such a great location. I haven't had. Well, no, I guess maybe in between Seth and somebody else there was a bad tenant, but not so bad that I had to kick them out. Just so bad that they didn't stay for years. I've been so fortunate that people stayed for years. So if it was Seth and Genevieve, then I say they're my favorite tenants. If David Lee asked, but I don't think he'd take the time to even bother asking questions, so probably not him. So maybe David Kelly. Or Matt.
Well, I think you hit it right. The question came from Seth and Genevieve.
Okay, yes, they were fantastic.
Yeah,
and they actually were the bridge for my becoming, because there are two houses on the same lot, from going from resident landlord to absentee landlord. So it was amazing to have them, who I knew and loved, be in the front house, and just sort of, so the continuity was there, and I had that. And I've seen pictures of their new house with the pool and all that, and it's like, so I don't know why It's like they were wonderful. And the cactus, Seth and Jen, if you're watching, the cactus is planted out front. Thank you for taking such good care of it. It looks like it is thriving. I know you probably think the yard isn't as well cared for as when you were there, but do what we can do.
All right. Well, with
in short, for those of you who do not know Frank, that last paragraph / monologue is precise.
Right. There's many more questions to come, but let's hear you sing first. The first song that we're going to have from you is called Take Care of Your Own Shit. And you performed it in a Sharon Wanzie musical at Fringe that starred you and Janine Klein.
A political rant with music.
Called Living on the Edge.
That was directed by Kenny, so I have all three of you right here in front of me. Amazing.
Right. Living on the Edge of fair and balanced rant with songs. But before we hear this, I think we owe it to the audience to explain that there are long periods of musical interludes that were quite on purpose because you were in the Orange venue and we had you running all around with masks.
Oh, you're going to tell the Gene story, aren't you?
And doing calypso. Yeah. And anyway, in the actual show, you had masks of the people you were singing about, and you gave them to people in the audience. And I think it was the opening night.
Karen,
and so these musical interludes where he may look a little uncomfortable in the video because he's just sitting there recording.
But you can see him
now.
dancing.
I guess I look uncomfortable in the video.
Running all around the audience, handing out these masks, and it's timed out music, and he had to get the mask in somebody's hand and get them to take it, and then get back to his next mark to get his next prop, and it was all timed out, and he's putting
beautifully.
He's putting the mask out in front of this woman, and she's not taking it, and he starts to freak out. He's like shaking it in her face, and it was, for those of you who know, it was Jean Ferris, and Marcy Singhouse was sitting behind her, and finally she reached forward and grabbed the mask from Frank and said, "She's blind."
Good time.
Anyway, in deference to Rich, I should point out that this track was a rehearsal track that sounds like a bit of a Casio recording that Frank just happened to still have in his archives, which is why
I found miraculously.
Yeah.
This was our first Fringe show when it moved to Lock Haven.
This was the first year it was in Lock Haven, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it was written during the George Bush presidency, and Frank agreed to sing it for us tonight. So I did a few last-minute rewrites to mention a few people who have been more newsworthy since the
particularly heinous.
And then Frank added a couple.
And then Frank added a couple of little asides, and we hope you enjoy it. Here is Frank McLean singing "Take Care of Your Own Shit."
Jimmy Swaggart likes his whores, despite his wife Fran, but he slips off to Motel 6 every chance he can, but that's a holy union according to God's plan. Unless I cheapen it by marrying a man. Mike Pence says I'm bad 'cause I'm gay. Modern science says I'm bored that way. Televangelists say I need a fix, but God made homos too. Get over it. Stay out of my life, you pious twit. Just leave me alone. Take care of your own shit. President Trump, what a guy. He'll look you in the eye, then he'll open up his mouth and lie and lie and lie. He'll invent statistics to sell his tainted views. Here's a man who loves the truth, like Hitler loved the Jews. They just keep telling lies about the total demise of society if I'm running free. Yes, it's good for their cause. They raise funds and applause. Come on and make a target of me. I'm so full of sin, you need not look within. You don't have to look at what you don't see. Why bother to fix your own house, Lady G, when devils like me look out? Fear me, the common enemy. Here's our very special guest, Kim Davis, Kentucky County Clerk. She denied a couple a license, said she was doing the Lord's work. And when they came to get her, her views could not be swayed. She said she'd rather go to jail. No marriage for the gays. Ronald Reagan never uttered the words AIDS. Faggots died in droves, he sealed their graves. Anita Bryant said we all sprang from hell. Now Laura Ingraham thinks that as well. Stay out of my life, you pious bitch. Just leave me alone. Take care of your own shit. Oh, I love this guy. The Reverend Pat of the rainbow flags would make us fall from grace. Orlando would go up in flames, get bombed from outer space. But of course none of that happened, which causes me to state, I think you'll see more clearly if I sit on his face. Betsy DeVos thinks that I can't teach in school. She thinks my way of life breaks all the rules. Oxycontin filled Rush Limbaugh's mouth. Judgmental rhetoric still finds its way out. Stay out of my life, you lard-ass prick. Just leave me alone. Take care of your own shit. And should the need in you be to rise, remember I will not be patronized. Stop worrying what I'm doing with my dick. Just leave me alone. Take care of your own shit. 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 That felt good.
Yay! Nice to revisit that.
That felt real good, didn't it, Frank?
I know we did not provide those pictures. And it was really fun for all the times that I could remember you dancing around the margin to see you in your chair doing this.
Because Frank's calypso choreography in the show was something probably that has never been seen since.
And shouldn't after, because Blue didn't choreograph it.
God, I'm a dancer.
Frank, what did you think of Acoustic Joe?
Oh, I think I was, I'm just, I adored David Dorman, and I'm hoping there are people still watching. He knows that's a joke.
You and David had a long-running joke. What is it you used to call him?
Dorman.
Exactly. We know.
Oh, wait. By the way, from the messages, David Dorman says hello.
Hello, David.
Catherine Goodison and Val and Gary, they all saying hello to you.
Right. And we have another question from the general public, Frank. This question is, have you had any good parties at your new home that were comparable to the Pine Street days? If so, elaborate. If not, what are some of your favorite moments from the Pine Street Day parties? I think
the answer is
your Fringe close your Saturday night party.
No, I haven't had great parties here. The house I live in now is wonderful for family gatherings and that sort of thing, which is great because my mom lives with me. So that's wonderful, but we haven't had any. I don't know whether you could handle the kind of blowouts we had on Pine Street, which were amazing. So I think my favorite memories are, of course, the final Saturday night of Fringe, which we sort of had a traditional party on there, and then the housewarming party when I built the back. When I had I had the second house built on the back, and we had a big housewarming party. It was like my big worlds collide party. I had family there. I had, all of my wonderful theater friends. I had my Disney friends. I had my ArtSake people friends. It just was like that was a party that will live in infamy. That was great. And, it was always great that probably at least certainly over 50% of them, the police came at some point.
Yeah.
It was. And I would always on the morning after go over and pick up everything and then hang the various pieces of clothing that were left in the hot tub or by the hot tub on the clothesline and take a picture of it and post it. And if we could post back then, I don't remember.
Are you is Frank's family in Iowa? You think he's a good boy, but you have no idea what it was like when he lived in Orlando. Since you mentioned Disney World, someone asked Frank about the time he dropped the F-bomb for children of all ages to hear at Walt Disney World.
I love it. Fun.
As people know, it's like I lived in Orlando for 7 years, auditioned for Disney about 50 times. I thought I was moving to New York forever, and auditioned once in New York, and they hired me to come back and play Frollo in the Hunchback show. So I love that. And I was the equity deputy at the time of this show. And there's a protocol that if there's thunderstorms and lightning close to you, the stage manager is supposed to down the show. And they do that by just turning off the lights and music, and then all the cast members just exit the stage. This was the worst storm I've ever seen. If you were in that theater, water was pooling on the ground. There was a little ramp that went out. Like audience members were climbing on the ramp to get out of the. I walked by the stage manager and I gave him this cut the show sign right before the big fight scene, and he turned away from me. And the show continued. So we went on. We did the big fight scene. After the fight scene, there's a moment that I remember explicitly where I have a sword and once I'm backstage, I put my sword in this thing, and I remember I'm putting my sword in the thing, and I say, it's about fucking time, meaning it's about time he downed the show, because at that point they turned the music off. They had turned everything off except my microphone. So that's the only thing that went booming out into the audience.
So they stopped the show and you said it's about fucking time, and it was heard by the entire audience.
Right. And then we had a big meeting in the green room, and I'm like, I'm not one to anger easily, but I was like very vocal, and then I was like, sorry, I said that. At that point, I didn't know it had gone out to the audience. I was like, but it's like the show should have been called well before that, and we're having an argument, and then the next day, I show up for work, and they told me I'm suspended pending being fired for profanity in front of a guest. And I'm like, I was not in front of a guest. I was backstage. It wasn't my fault my microphone wasn't shut off. Argued about it for a while, and then wound up suspending me for 2 weeks. And I was only not fired because my record was perfect before that.
And then you started doing shows with Wanzie.
It's a wonderful story.
Pretty hard anyway.
I've been suspended from shopping at Publix for 2 weeks. Anyway, all right. One more question here before we go to your next song. This one is, it says, Frank, you directed 2 incredibly successful shows at Orlando Fringe, Joan Crawford's House Party and A Tired Old Whore. What was it like to work with the legend that is Doug Bowser? And this question was sent in by Doug Bowser.
And if you could do it like
amazing,
like his email response, that would be lovely.
With both of those, we went in with scripts that were not fully formed, and thinking that they would be really short, that we wouldn't have enough material. And by the time each one came to fruition, it's like, damn, we're running out of time. We got to cut this because we had so much fun with it. Certainly with Joan Crawford's House Party, he had special guests, and Catherine Goodison was in it. It was just really amazing. And then Tired Old Whore was written, by a conglomerate of people, you among them, Michael, and a variety of monologues. And we were trying to figure out a way to make these fit together, and decided, well, the easiest way is to just have Taffy do a Fringe show and have me play me as the director of the Fringe show, and working with Taffy and being frustrated. So I got to both direct it and be part of it. And it was one of the most fun times I've had on stage. It was just so great. Doug was amazing as both Joan Crawford and as Taffy. And Taffy was supposed to retire after that show. That was the whole point of the show.
It launched a whole new career. You launched a whole new career for Doug.
Yes. So, but it was great. And I remember, like, one of my favorite contributions was I had just finished directing La Traviata for the Orlando Philharmonic, which is, the plot of La Traviata is there's a very high-scale courtesan who gets involved with a man, and then there's a love story, which winds up dying at the end, or whatever. But so Doug, in the opening our little argument monologue about what he's doing, she's asking me, Taffy's asking, what have you done before? And I started describing La Traviata, and he's saying, so basically you're just directing the same shit over and over again, which I just adored, which is basically...
Tell me your resume is chronological.
So I love putting in resumes, when I list my opera things, and I will make sure that I include A Tired Old Whore next to it.
Just quickly, since I know some of your people from that world may be watching, what are your opera credits? What companies have you worked for?
Well, my degree was in music, and I studied classically, and then until I moved to Orlando, I was never in a city that had an opera company. So I worked for Orlando Opera, first as a singer, and then as what they called it, and as a resident artist who performed. I did school shows and did all kinds of stuff and performed roles. And then sort of after Disney, I got on staff at Orlando Opera, and then Orlando Unfortunately Opera closed in 2008, and then I was sort of in limbo for a while. Then I was the first artistic director for Florida Opera Theater, which is now turned into Opera Orlando, and I'm very, very proud of that. And then from there, I moved to, I got offered sort of out of the blue the job to be managing director at Opera Tampa, which is a center in Tampa. And that's what took me out of Orlando, where I was for 3 years before I came to Dubuque. And in the interim, you know, I don't know, I directed a lot. I taught a lot of singers. I did everything. You know, it was a great learning experience. And I know you're not an opera fan, Michael, although I did put you in an opera.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Oh, yes. Oh, God. I forgot about that tragedy.
I know you fell, and that's your vertigo, and your life horrible ever since.
Yes. They forgot to move a piece of scenery, and I ran out and tripped over it and fell down and broke my knees and hit my head and had vertigo, and I'm still.
So thanks for not suing the company. They probably wouldn't do this.
We call that Thursday.
Yeah. Fuck you. Let's move on to your next number, Frank. Let's take a little serious turn here for a moment. The events of 9/11 happened, and in response to it, Rich and I were inspired to write a song, and which is what Frank is about to sing. It's called "If Only We Were Kind," and just in case anyone may not be aware, on the 107th floor of the World Trade Center in Building A was a restaurant called Windows on the World, and it had floor-to-ceiling windows, and you had to wait forever to get a reservation. And that space is really important in my memory because when my lover Ron was alive, he and I and my sister Judy and my friend Elaine Ewan and a couple of other people had this wonderful trip to New York, and on New Year's Eve we dined at Windows on the World. So the first lyric that Frank sings has those words "Windows on the World" in it, and that's what it's referring to, is that restaurant on the 107th floor of the World Trade Center. Anyway, Rich and I wrote it. Neither of us sing, so it just kind of sat there. And then sometime later, we did the show with Janine and Frank at Fringe that we referenced earlier, and Living on the Edge. And we put this song in that show, and Frank originally sang it as a duet with Janine, but tonight he's singing it solo. So this is Sharon Wanzie's tribute to 9/11, as sang by Frank 11, sang by Frank McLean, "If Only We Were Kind."
Windows on the world once offered skies of promise blue. Shattered glass and shattered lives have changed that point of view. Dazed, we stumble from the smoke. Confused, but poised to fight. Resolved, and yet the question begs, how can we make this right? We can build the tallest buildings, yet how easily they fall. We can scale the highest mountains, we can answer every call. We can pledge and march and aim and bind, and still I think we'll find the world would be a better place if only we were kind. And if kindness seems too simple for mighty mind to grasp, it's time for simple changes and learning from our past. If tolerance preceded force and caution outweighed pride, we could chart a wiser course if only we were kind. Feeling in this world gone mad, there's little we can do. Then with ease we realize it's little things that see us through. Amazed, despite our differences. In need is what we are. We gaze at cataclysmic skies and wish upon a star. We can bridge the raging oceans, we can even conquer space. We can fill the world with monuments and change the planet's face. We can blast and drill and cut and mine, and still I think we'll find the world would be a better place if only we were kind, with a smile, a glance, an open mind. It won't be hard to find. It takes only a bit of grace to leave your mark behind. Yes, the world would be a better place if only we were kind. Take care of one another.
Go, show me.
I love it, guys. We get a 10-second like shut up because it's the video's finishing and we can't talk, and his dogs start barking. And
coming out of that.
Are we live again?
Yes.
Yes, we're back.
I love that song, but trust me, I cried many a print and hearing, so I could go buy the dog. But
Who are we hearing, Frank? Don't.
That's Liam. He's barking at Sadie. Sadie has this song toy that he's obsessed with. And he wants it. So,
can you show us?
Sadie's like a bulldog or something, right?
He's coming right up to the camera. And there's Sadie with the Kong, and she wants
Yay!
it.
Hey!
So, Frank,
look at that. He was such a camera whore. He came right up to it.
Like father likes.
That was
ready for the spotlight.
Thank you for singing that number for us.
Well, it's a song that I love, and when we talked about what I would do, we started this process. I don't know a month and a half or so ago, and "Hear Your Own Shit" was a great song, and then sort of in the interim, the Black Lives Matter movement really took off, and it just feels, even though it was specifically written, about 9/11, the message is so universal, and I just adore it. And the whole idea of if only we were kind, it could solve so much problem. I love the music just perfectly fits the lyrics, and I love the phrase if tolerance now I've got it wrong. Tolerance proceeded forth and caution outweighed pride. It's like true. It's just there's so much truth in that song that I love it, and it's a message that we could all use.
Sweet. And if I may, and since you were kind enough to say you thought the music so perfectly fits the lyrics, Rich and I have never had a standard formula for working together, and sometimes I write the lyrics and then he writes the music. Sometimes he writes the music and then I write the lyrics. Sometimes it's half and half. This was one of the rare songs. This one and "Step Into the Light" I think made, but this is one of those songs where we sat on the piano bench side by side and worked it out together. And I love that you made that comment, because I think it speaks to that
shared
synergy.
experience.
Yeah.
"Step Into the Light" is another one of my favorite Wanzie Sharon songs. It's like, do that more often, you two.
Yeah, I think with 9/11, the thing with that song in particular, and we were finding that to probably be true today with this situation, was that it was probably more therapeutic for Michael and I at that time, and so sometimes, certainly for anyone who's creative will know that, one of the ways that you can get something out is by being creative, however that is for everybody. And for us, that's certainly what it was. It was really very therapeutic, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this.
And we did it nicely. Did you know the Sherman brothers hated each other?
Yeah, we get along.
I did watch that movie recently.
Yeah, right.
He watched it 3 weeks ago, and we can't go a day without talking about how much they hate each other.
Frank, I think we have one more question. Let me see. Oh, this is from Beth Marshall. She says, what sage words of wisdom would you impart to young emerging artists going into the business?
I guess just by the phrasing of that, okay, congratulations, Janine Klein, for raising Sage. No one ever thought you could do it. And you completed the task. He seems like he's turned out really great, and that's terrific. I am so proud. Was that where we were going with this, or was it something else?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Oh, I hope Janine is watching. Do you have anything you want to say to the top?
I don't know. It's just a challenging time for everyone, especially people in the theater and people that are, performers who don't know what the future holds. For me, who's more in the role of producer and executive director now, we have to plan. We have to plan as if we are moving on and be ready to scrap all those plans if safety does not allow. And we've been doing that since really the beginning of March. At the beginning of March, we thought, it's like we thought, well, this will not affect our summer. There's no way that's going to happen. And then just as time went on, and now things are opening up, and I think we have a responsibility to start getting out there, but making sure we're doing that safely.
You in particular, Frank, you operate a facility called the Grand Opera House, but it's not opera. It's a community theater.
Right.
And it's where you were kind enough to hire me and bring me up there a couple years back, and I got to play the lead role in The Man Who Came to Dinner in that glorious historic theater where, the people that were on that stage.
Right. No, in its first incarnation as an opera house and vaudeville house, it had, George M. Cohan, Lillian Russell, Ethel Barrymore, John Phillips. It was just such an amazing history. And then it became a movie theater, as many movie theaters.
I'm sure you're going to change the website to add Michael Wanzie to that list, right?
Yeah. That's as soon as I learn how to figure out to update the website, I'll do that. So it is an amazing facility, and it is a community theater, and we have an amazing community of performers. I have an amazing staff that I sorely miss right now, and performers that do this because it's their passion. And it's one of the things when I moved to Dubuque, I didn't know what the talent pool would be like, and it's amazing. I think we do really amazing, wonderful shows. So we're really missing that right now and trying to figure out, right now we're tentatively planning to come back in the fall, but we had to rethink our entire season. We were going to be, we should have announced our next season at the beginning of May, and we would have been opening with a musical, and that just doesn't feel like for the first one out of the gate, we're probably not going to open with a musical. So we're looking at a play that we can do with a smaller cast and smaller production value, and that we can still be financially viable with what we know will be a smaller audience because of socially distanced seating. And we're really right now just starting the process of our thank you to our patrons who've been so patient with us as we kept kicking the can down the road. And right now we're in the process of, moving everybody who has subscribers to next year. We've done all of our summer shows that we're going to be this year and put them into next year, and letting our subscribers know that in single ticket, and trying to provide a variety of options for everybody, whether it's move your move your tickets to future productions, take a show card, give them as a donation. Do that. You know, we understand that for some people, refunds are the only option, and doing that, but it's just an enormous task to do. So right now we're sort of doing the dual task of doing that with both a regular seating plan where people could get the seats where what they originally purchased, and a shadow seating chart that if, God forbid, we are still socially distant seating, how are we going to do this then? So it's jumping through hoop after hoop and having to be flexible, and and thank you to our patrons who have been enormously generous and patient with us, because as we figure it out, because we just like everybody, we just don't know what's around the corner. Which maybe I can segue into the final number now.
Yes, well, let's say Kenny works for Florida Theatrical, which brings all the Broadway shows down, so they're dealing with the very same thing here locally, as is Jim Helsinger and every, But
and it's just so fluid. I mean, that's the thing. It's
anyway. It's been,
you make plans and contingency plans, and then you have to throw them away the next day when something.
Yep.
2 weeks ago we weren't spiking, and now we are, and what's going to happen with that? And,
right.
Yeah, we're going to have a rally. That's what's going to happen.
That's going to happen. I'm going to be in jail. But we're going to end. We're going to end a little bit differently, because your final video, which is only like a minute long, is just so beautifully poignant. I think we're going to say goodbye to you first, and we're going to sign off with Ollie and Rich, and we're going to let the very last thing our audience see be your final video, because I just love it, and it is you on stage at the Grand Opera House. And can I say sincerely, I really mean this, being able to do that wonderful role in that wonderful play on that particular historic stage will be always one of the highlights of my career, and I can't thank you enough for bringing me up there to do that. So there's Oliver. Do you see him, Frank?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Ollie. Rich. What last words do you want to say to your friends here in Orlando before we let you?
Just to set up this a little bit, is I actually recorded this in early April, like when we really truly went into shutdown mode, so that nobody else was coming into the theater, and I had the option to work from home, but because I was literally the only person coming to the theater, this giant theater, every day, but well, it's pretty safe to work there because I'm the only person there. And part of my routine is, because I'm the only person there, is to first thing in the morning, I go to every single floor and I walk the building because it's empty, to make sure that a pipe hasn't burst, or marauders haven't moved into the dance studio, but I walk through everything, and then I walk up on stage and I check to make sure all the doors are open. Just like one of the first days I was walking through, I was found myself alone on stage with the ghost light, and I don't, in this job I have right now, I don't have the opportunity to sing a lot, So I just thought, oh, look at this, I got this stage. So I just off the cuff sang, and I go, oh my, the acoustics are so amazing in there. It just felt so good to sing. So the next day I came in, and people that know me know I'm a technological idiot. So it's a miracle that I was just able to film this little clip on its own with the ghost light. I went to do it, and then I posted on Facebook and called it Songs from an Empty Stage, sort of just a tribute to that we are coming back, and that I'm trying to keep something alive here when I'm, it's like I'm the caretaker for this place. And that was the song that came to my head, because there's no business like show business.
Yeah, well, it's perfect. And remind people why you're here and what we're doing.
Well, as a member of the Orlando theater community for, well over 2 decades, and I still consider myself a member of it, I know that Orlando has been particularly hard hit. There's so many performers, that have lost their livelihoods, and so what you're doing is raising money for all of those out of work performers and musicians, stage managers who really have nothing, and some of them, can count on unemployment, and some of them can't. And I understand that there were a couple issues with Florida's unemployment, maybe like that. But what you're doing is such a great service. So that please, my Iowa friends, everybody, please donate to this wonderful cause. All the money goes directly to out of work theater people who desperately need it. So thank you for doing this, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of it, and thrilled that you can still consider a part of that community.
You will
we
always
love
be
you.
considered.
Yes, we can't wait for you to come back. Thanks for being with us. We're going to say goodbye to you. And Rich, Kenny wants to, should we mention what's happening with St. Luke's before we close out?
Well, I don't know about that, but I will say, so right now, the fund has moved to Creative City, and Cole, and actually Terry Olson was paramount in getting us a URL and setting us up with Cole in like 30 minutes. They were so active, but there are they've taken this idea. Every Friday we meet with a group of theater artistic and executive directors from the Garden Shakes,
the Rad,
and beyond. And high schools and colleges, and they've really all latched on to supporting the artists and being a part of this, so much so that we're becoming a 501c3, and I think this is going to it will have a life well beyond COVID that will support the artists through emergencies, whether it's hurricanes, pandemics, or whatever else the world's going to throw our way. But there's some really exciting things coming up, so stay tuned.
For those of you who knew that we were in talks with Sam, you might be surprised to see that is not the URL we're using right now. The short explanation is St. Louis is positioned to do so much more than we are doing, and they are interested in a whole approach of actually.
I think we're losing Michael and Kenny. Hang on. Are you guys? Can you see us?
Yeah,
I can see you.
Yeah, we've lost your camera. It's the Skype.
All right, so let's go to the.
Frank's here. I can.
Frank's video then.
Say good night for us, Gracie.
Let's just bring Frank back and start. No, everybody's back now. So there you go.
Sorry for
anyway. Just know that behind the scenes, the leaders of all the theaters, Mad Cow, Athens, Ice House, you name it, are all pulling together and working with St. Luke's, and in a fair amount of time, we're going to be introducing a new 501c3 that really is going to be an ongoing major assistance program that doesn't only come into effect during a pandemic, but Cole Naismith and City Arts Project is our short-term answer for continuing to do what we're doing, which is giving fast money in $100 increments to people. So we're grateful to both of them. Great things are happening. We're going to say goodnight to you now. Frank's final video.
Yeah.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
We've got to apologize to the network, of course. We're running late, so it looks like we're gonna be joining Heidi already in progress. So I know that's gonna piss off a whole bunch of people, and I apologize for that. But we got a video from Frank, and then our end credits that are amazing from David Dorman. And so I guess we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, for playing the day.
I gotta go to bed.
Go to Beth Marshall's page. Goodbye, Frank. Good night, Allie. Goodbye, Rick.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it traffic will allow. And you get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Even with a turkey that you know will fold, you may be standing out in the cold. Still, I wouldn't trade it for a sack of gold. Let's go on with the show. I hope to see you soon.